you need to do, I'm down for whatever.
Here we go.
All right.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome back. I always say morning, actually. It is morning today, but usually I say it whether it's morning or not. I don't know why I do that now
I
that
do
I
that
think about
too. I know.
it. But welcome back to the Adult Child Dysfunction podcast, where we spread stories of hope and healing and love and joy. So today we have with us Danielle Zilg. She's a marriage and family therapist in the making. She's a
Yes.
motivator, a mental health maven, student of life, wounded healer, hope merchant, change agent, beach bum, sunset seeker, summer girl, and the list goes on. She is deeply passionate about all things mental health, creating safe space for feeling and healing and whole living. And I have spoken to Danielle. I was actually just on her podcast, which is what's the name of it again? I'm sorry, I
Feeling
forgot.
and healing. Yep. Feeling and
Feeling and
healing.
healing. So we are going to run these hopefully somewhat side by side and just share so much wisdom that Danielle has to share with us. So welcome, Danielle.
Thank you so much, Tammy. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, so like I said, we have a conglomerate of things to talk about just because we're in kind of the same space as so many of us are. But I want you to talk about why you chose marriage and family therapy.
Yeah, so it's so funny. Everybody asks me this because I get that question a lot. And quite frankly, I kind of just fell into it because I went to the university I'm going to in New Jersey. I went there as an undergrad and they had three psychology and this is my change in my career. So I worked in marketing for 14 years. I just didn't feel like that was the environment for me anymore. I didn't feel lit up. And I was like, I want to do something to help people. And going through my own mental health challenges and seeking help myself, being in therapy, I was like, I would love to become a therapist. So I just actually looked on the website of my university and they offered three programs. And I just figured, all right, like they've just general counseling, forensic, which I'm like, that's not me. And then they offered marriage and family therapy. And I was like, you know what? Like I've always really been interested in relationships and also to working with like different populations, like obviously individuals, couples, family. So I was like, let me choose marriage and family therapy. And as I'm in the degree and as I'm learning more as a marriage and family therapist, I am in awe of how we are trained. And it is, I know you're in Florida, I'm in New Jersey, but actually in New Jersey, marriage and family therapy is not very big. Social work is huge up here for some reason. I don't really know why. But the way marriage and family therapists are trained, we are trained to think very differently than a social worker, than a licensed professional counselor. And it's honestly very special. And as I'm getting into this field, I was like, this is what I was meant to do. Because a lot of therapists, even though, I know no no judgment or any like every therapist, LPCs, social workers are doing amazing work. It's just such radical work when you can, as you know from your story, I know from your story, when you can peel back the layers of generations and generations and how that impacts you, it's so powerful.
Very, very true. And that's what I was wondering. I was wondering, like, did you get into the marriage and family therapy part because of your family, because of your parents' marriage, because of your own? And it doesn't sound like that's the case at all. So,
Well, it's so funny you mentioned that because like I struggle just individually with like and I was just I mean I don't know if you know this or we shared this on my podcast, but I'm adopted. So when I always thought I remember actually vividly when I was in high school, I was having a really bad like just mental health, like I was really, really struggling with anxiety and actually went to the emergency room and went, to potentially be put in like, like a psych program. I didn't end up doing it because they didn't meet I wasn't that severe, but my parents took me to the emergency room. And I remember somebody telling me, like a therapist or I don't know what designation they were like, oh, you're adopted. Like and they were like, when did you come here? Like the timing. And I was like, oh, like I kind of just brushed it off. I was like, what are they talking about? Because I was like, I was adopted to like the most loving family. I was welcomed unconditionally in my family. But as I'm in this program, because, you learn a lot about yourself, it's called Self of a Therapist. I'm realizing the impact that that moment had on my life because of my training and because how we're taught to look at um, what I'm sure you're aware of is like attachment styles. And
Right.
that is basically in the womb till like, your first year, your very early development. And the relationship you have with your caregiver really does impact how you are in relationships as an adult.
Absolutely.
So, like, I was like, oh, yeah, like my parents, my adopted parents, I'm like, they're great. Like, why would I have potential abandonment issues? And through my process of becoming a therapist, I'm learning. I'm like, just because of that one instance in my life, that was me being taken from my birth mother at a very young age, that's not, typical because, normally you stay with, the person that gives birth, that you give birth to, or that gives you life. That one little moment, it has impacted me as a person. And I can't deny it. And I had to confront it. And had to do my work on it. But like before entering this program, I was kind of just like, oh, yeah, no big deal. I was adopted. Like, who cares, you know?
Right. And we have actually, I don't know the exact, I was just looking to see the exact episodes because I have several episodes on people that they are coaches and they do therapy for people that are adopted and just
Yeah.
because of that adoption trauma. And you're
Yes.
right, there's so much more to it than just, everybody just assumes, and it's the naivety of the world that everybody assumes as long as the adopted parent or adoptee, the parents that adopt the child are good to the child, that there is no attachment wound or there is no
Correct.
trauma. But I mean, yes, you're right. And there's so much to it. And again, like Google the science, like there's science
I
to it. There's
know.
science to the DNA breakage and there's science to all of that and to how that would change really your sense of self and your sense of
Mhm.
identity and your sense of security and everything else.
Mhm.
But no, that's pretty good. And it is a fascinating topic because when I did my summit last year in December, people came on and they're like, "Oh, I want to talk about adoption trauma." And I'm like, "That's a thing?"
It is.
And
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
made me like I was shocked, but wow, when I really got down and talked to someone about it, it's definitely something. So if you're out there and you're going, "Oh wow, maybe we're not saying if you're adopted you're messed up." That's not what we're saying.
No, 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 no.
We're just saying that there are some inherent wounds, emotional wounds that will follow with you unless something is done about them or unless you become aware and, go through it. But that, yeah, so I just assume when anybody goes into family and physical, marriage and family counseling, or therapy, my assumption is always, oh, their parents were messed up and they just need to learn. Because, it seems like people get into
Yeah, you
healing
want
because
to heal.
yeah, you want to heal which wounded in you, so you learn, and that's what usually fascinates people. And I know you actually even called yourself the wounded healer. Talk about
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah. So I mean, and I will say I'm very lucky actually. And that's maybe like, I think sometimes as you mentioned, like people that go into marriage and family therapy, sometimes I've heard like they feel like the black sheep of the family. Like they feel like they're like everybody else is different and why am I like this? If you know what I mean, everybody else is like that. But I will definitely say I know myself well enough. Like I am an empath. I have big emotions. Have a big heart. I will attribute that to my mother, my adopted mother. I just, nature versus nurture. I learned the core values from her. And unfortunately, of course, I feel like everybody in their life, if you have made it to a certain point in your life, have been hurt by other people, situations. I'm speaking of my adopted mother. She passed away when I was in my early 20s. So that grief, when I tell you, like, hurt, I don't think I mean, you're never over grief. Grief is something that carries with you and it's a process and it will never be done. But that like wound because if you think about it, and I didn't even think about this when, and it taught me, my program taught me this. I've lost two mothers in my life, my birth mother and my adopted mother. So when my adopted mother passed away, it hit me like so hard, like fell into a deep, deep, deep depression, like major depressive disorder, like depression. And I was like, what is going on? But like that was my body telling me like this is a huge, like it was almost like like putting salt over a trauma, a core wound, because I have a core abandonment wound. And even though my mother, of course, like it wasn't, she passed away out of circumstance. It wasn't like she didn't willingly go out of this world. But that really, and that's when I was like, whoa, like, and unfortunately and relationally, because as marriage and family therapists, we are we're relational thinkers and relational therapists in relationships, with friendships, romantic relationships. I have been, unfortunately, like I feel like taken advantage of or not seen or not valued, and I'm like those wounds run deep. As you said, they're self, they're self. I don't want. I'm done self-abandoning. I did that. No more. Because I really had to rebuild my identity and my relationship with myself from going through some rocky friendships.
Absolutely. Talk about how, tell the audience, because I know a lot of people are going, oh, wait, self-abandonment. I'd heard that term. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the people that listen to podcasts, it's like all of a sudden they become acutely aware. And I don't ever want to leave anybody hanging that becomes
Yeah, yeah,
acutely
yeah.
aware. So what are some of the things that you did to stop the self-abandonment
I
or
think so. I think the first one is that like I work with this with my clients. This is the first thing I do. It's in order to know yourself abandoning yourself, you have to be self-aware. So for me, it's like I I'm not a quid pro quo person. Like I'm not like I don't sit here and keep tallies of like, Tammy did this for me and I did this for her. Like, but when I feel it's like a feeling I get that kind of like I'm like Danielle, like you're not being true to yourself right now. Like I'm doing a behavior, I'm doing something, or I'm overextending myself. And I actually like this happened to me yesterday. Like I was exhausted yesterday, like physically exhausted. Like I was like I actually like I hate to say this, like I like got in I have other stressors in life going on, but like I think I was my because I'm having car issues right now, and my dad was driving me to class because I don't have a car, and I was literally falling asleep in the car. Like that's how like at like 4:30. Like I was like that's how tired I was. But I think self-abandonment is, and I think it's different for everybody. I mean, in general, it's when you're putting off your own needs and your own, you know, um, you know, internal, self for
right?
external people or external validation. But when you truly abandon yourself, and I think it's when, for me, it's always goes down to core values. So it's like when I know I'm abandoning myself when I'm not true to my values, and or if somebody does something that is, I have to look at myself and say, hey, this doesn't feel right. Like, like I don't want to, like and then you go through the process of, thinking about it, and if you want to go through with it. But I think it's just any time that you don't feel you're making an action, a thought, anything that doesn't feel true to yourself because something external is impacting you.
Okay. So, I mean, in general, it's just if you question it, if you
Yeah.
have that feeling, because you're going to do that. If somebody, if you're on the way, let's say, and this has happened to me, if I'm on the way to go walk on the beach and I just want a little bit of quiet time and somebody calls me and says, hey, can you work? And I'm like, oh, I don't want to work. I don't want to be.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, oh, yeah, and I rationalize it and I stop what I'm doing and I go to work and I'm miserable about it. And of course, it's always nice to make money because you're working, but it's like, why did I do that? Why would I
Hmm.
do that? Like, I was on the way to enjoy myself, to do something for me. And that goes back to, a lot of times, that goes back to that people pleasing and
Yeah.
that, but we all do it. but it's a
Yeah.
matter of being able to nip it quick enough that that thought and you feel that feeling like, oh, I really don't want to do this.
Hmm.
You don't, and I tell people, you are a grown ass woman. You do not have to explain to anybody why your decisions are your decisions.
Yep. Absolutely. And I think the thing is too is like you make a great point. Like it goes back to like impact. So I always say like so like if you're in your situation, like that happens to me too. Like sometimes I'll be like, "Oh, I want to do a little thing," but yes, some a client will call or I'm really feeling really creative at the moment. And I think it's okay. I think there's a scale of like self-abandonment, like those little things, like you know what I mean? If this doesn't have a huge impact on you, yeah, you can move through them, but keep in mind that they do compound. So if you keep on doing those little things, it will, go come and become something bigger, like snowball. But something that like, you mentioned the beach, like the beach is like my sacred space. And
Mhm.
if you mess up like my beach time, like that, but that's me. You know what I mean? Like, so that to me is like a deep thing. So I will not. I will set a boundary if it, because that for me is, abandoning something that I need in my life. I need that peace. I need that. So I think it's very situational, but it comes down to, I think like identity and what you value because, you know, of course, life is gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
we're
right.
adults. We're adults. We have responsibilities. Like for instance, like what I like. It's just like and people that have children, of course. Like I'm not saying don't don't do what you're I get it when your mother's that's kind of the nature of being a mom is unfortunately putting sometimes your needs on the back burner because your kids
Right,
need you. Like that's not self-abandonment, but when
right.
I think when you start to feel that like almost it's like I call it like it's almost like inner for me it comes up as like inner resentment. It's like, oh, like why did I do that?
Well, it goes back to the guilt. Like it goes back,
Hmm.
and you're feeling guilty about something, and guilt and shame are like at the
Oh,
core of every wound. I believe
oh yeah. No,
in some
guilt.
way,
Yep. Yep.
you know. So you keep mentioning core values. So if you had
Yeah.
to tell someone, okay, so I'm hypothetically just walking into therapy for the first time, and and Danielle says to me, I mean, this is hypothetical, and actually,
Yeah.
this has happened to me. And
Okay.
somebody
All
says,
right.
well, what do you care about? What are your core values? Like, who is Tammy? What if hypothetically I say I have no idea, which is very, very, very common for people
Yeah.
that have gone through whole childhoods of self-abandonment and just not knowing just basically being told who and what and where and why. How do you help them kind of figure that out?
Yeah, no, that's a great, great question. I think it starts, so I do a lot of self work with those people. I believe we talked about this maybe on my podcast or not. I talk about it all the time because I love it. Especially with individuals with potential trauma or big T little t. I like to use internal family systems, so really figuring out which is for those of you who don't know on the call, internal family systems is a model of therapy where you look at a person and you look at them like they're a system. So you look at them, you have a core self, you have your protective parts, which are managers and firefighters, which come out when like you're triggered, or like for instance, a manager for me is anxiety. Like it just is a feeling that comes out if I feel a little threat or if I'm not comfortable, it comes out. A firefighter is kind of like a first responder. They come out like, maybe it could be anger. It could be also like firefighters are like are really bad coping mechanisms. Like I know you mentioned, obviously you're for a firefighter for your mom was alcohol, like drinking. You know what I mean? Like when she was
Right.
feeling a certain way. And then you have your
Alive.
exiles. Yeah,
That
yeah,
happened when just she was feeling alive.
yeah. Oh geez. Oh God. Yeah. So she was
She didn't need a
basically
certain
in
way.
So what I try so the exercise I guess based and then what I try to do there is because it so we have you and you made a great point because it the people that come in like that unfortunately I what I see is that their whole lives are protective parts. So I
Hmm.
really try to peel back those layers to be like, when was the last time you felt like calm? George just confused me. I have like he has these 8 C's that are like connected to your core self. It's like calm, connected, confident. I can't I forget them all, to be honest. But um, it's like I work on that. Like, when's the last time you felt really good about yourself? What were you doing? Who were you around? Like, to really define that, because in order to find a core value, you need to know your core self.
Right.
So, and I think unfortunately when people do, like you said, the situations where people come in and they've been conditioned their whole lives to, not know. It's a lot of work to peel back those, I call the, protective parts. I mean, we all have them.
Right. Right. And yes, so it's just basically, and that's kind of very similar to what I do with my people. I will just basically say, let's picture your most amazing day.
Exactly. Yep.
Picture, who are the people you're with? What are they like? What are their values? What's going on? What is the mood? What is the tone? What is going on? Like, describe that in as much detail as you can with words, with adjectives,
Yes.
whether it's
Yes.
happy and loyal and honest and then it's like, okay, now picture the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Picture
Mm-hmm.
yourself in some situations where you do get that gut punch and you're like, okay, this doesn't feel good. Like, what are those people like? What are they doing? What are they talking about? Like, and then you have your lists and then you can kind of narrow it down from there. And then it's like very easy if people are like, I don't know, when something goes, ooh, I don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, actually, you can look at that list and go, ooh,
And
that is
say,
on
yep.
my list of ew. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's like you can very easily then, and that's when you go in to start. Obviously, you're working on boundaries at every point in your healing, always. But you can say, hey, I want to be with this side of the list. And if you are not, it's very easy to say it's a non-negotiable. It's
Mm-hmm.
like you go on a date, and if honesty is one of your core values because you spent your whole life being lied to, and you just want people to be honest with you no matter what the story is, and you go on a date and there's three little small white lies in the very first date, or the stories contradict a couple times, on anything, you go, it's like red
Yeah.
flag, nope, done. Like,
Yep.
so again, I always go back to non-negotiables because you don't have to explain that. You don't
Mm,
have to say,
nope.
well, there was a couple red flags and it didn't align with my core values. You just know in your mind this isn't the person for me because it's not who I want to be around. Period.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you. But also too, I want to like validate for your readers, excuse me, your audience. I've been reading a lot, so I'm like my readers, your audience, that like it's something that it's a skill. Like it doesn't, you know what I mean? You have to develop this. Like
Hmm.
it's ongoing, you know what I mean? It's like, and you gave a perfect example, like on a date, like and also too, I always also too look into my body. I've noticed in my healing journey and your mind can play tricks on you because of course, you know what I mean? Like, I know like just the way our brains are wired, but your body will always tell you. Like if you're sensing a little, if you're maybe a little anxious, like I always say, anything that is meant for you in your life will feel like a breath of fresh air. Like you
Hmm.
will feel calm, you will feel at peace because, and if you think about it, we're mammals, like anxiety, fight or flight, like what happens when, back in the day, like our caveman brains, like when they saw a tiger or whatever, a threat, that's what anxiety is. So if any fear-based feeling will trigger anxiety. So if your body is feeling tense and just you feel uncomfortable, like that's your signal before your brain says like, hey, I always try to lean into like my bodily like reactions first around,
Hmm.
especially around people, because we're all, energy. And I'm like, and if I know, like, I mean, trust me, I'm working on this. I haven't always been like this because clearly, as I mentioned, being an empath, um, I like to think, and maybe call me naive, call me, whatever, but I really do feel like there is good in everybody. It's just a matter of like peeling it back or taking it back. But I have to realize, and I've told myself to this, and being a therapist and working with people and being a coach, you have to let them do that work. You like, you know what I mean? You can't work harder than them, because if you do, it might impact, their inner work.
Right. And I mean, especially being an empath, you're going to absorb all that energy. And that's probably one
Hmm.
of the hardest things, especially. And I know there's a lot of people out there listening that, again, these are words that that are just now being thrown. I mean, not just now, but recently being thrown away around as these, you're hearing the word narcissist, you're hearing the word
Yes.
empath, you're hearing the word highly sensitive person. Like you never
Yes.
used to hear these words.
Yeah.
So people that are now hearing them, um, you know, go on, literally just go on a podcast and listen. You type in empaths or
Yeah.
how to navigate as an empath, because it is very, it is a very different when you're
Experience.
feeling experience, you're feeling other people's energy, and it literally can be draining. And sometimes, like I mean, you mentioned the time that you just were so exhausted.
Hmm.
It is absolutely exhausting when you're not being able to discern, or you're just taking in too much of other people's energy.
Yeah.
Um, and there's so much you can do. I like to tell people that, because I mean, I literally took a whole like 70-hour course on literally just nothing but how to clear negative energy, other people's negative energy.
Yeah.
And it's pendulums and body testing, and
Oh,
it's all this muscle testing and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, if you can't do it, it's exhausting. So the best clue, and yes, I agree 100% with you, is listen to your body. Your
yes.
body does not lie.
Oh, 100%. And I will say everything that yesterday when I felt exhausted, it was not from any, I know, from negative energy. It was like they have a term in therapy called compassion fatigue. And
Hmm.
it's because we, and you as coaches, we care about our clients. Like we emotionally invest in them. So that's a different experience than if you, and no, no judgment, or if you just go to work every day and you're just typing in Excel documents. Like that's a different experience than working with physical people. When you're working with people, and I mean, and in general, even at work, even if you are just typing in Excel documents, like you are, and hopefully interacting with people at work. So whenever you're with people, you're interacting with feelings and, energy and all that stuff. So it does take a toll. But I will say that in my life right now, unfortunately, I have like three people that have like somebody's husband is dying, the other person's brother is dying. Like obviously we were just talking about the Hurricane Melissa that went through Puerto Rico before this podcast. Like I have friends that a friend's mom has a house there, and it's like, while they are little things, like I hold compassion towards them. And it was just a lot it was just yesterday. I just kind of hit me. I was like, wow, there's a lot going on today, you know?
Yep. No, it is. It can be emotionally draining. It
Yeah.
really can. And that's, I say that all the time. Like if you at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, all of a sudden you've had a rough day and you feel like you need a nap, by
Yep.
golly, take a nap, lay down 20 minutes, close your eyes, meditate, do whatever, just
Yep.
relax. I was getting a massage yesterday,
Ooh.
and it was funny because I was at this place, and the person that was kind of next to us a little bit, like it was not like I could just feel the tension on her. So
Oh,
I'm sitting here
really?
trying to get a massage, and I could just like she was radiating stress. Like
Oh,
when I tell
geez.
you.
Oh,
And so I said to the lady that was doing the massage, and I said it kind of out loud, maybe hoping that other lady would be like, "Ooh, I better chill myself."
yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Because I was like, I'm sitting here trying to get a massage, and you're like, ah. But anyway, so I said, like, what do you do when other people, I mean, you absorb so much. I mean, she is a true healer, and she absorbs so much of the people, like their energy. So I said to her, I said, so what kind of energy am I putting off? Like, are you okay with this? And I was not was not sending that message to my massage person. I was sending it to the lady across the hall there that was just
Yeah.
totally stressed out. And it was so funny. And she did. She said, no, she said, I've been doing this so long that I am able to open up that extra space. And yeah, what did she call it? I don't know. But anyway, her energy comfort zone basically was so large that she could let other people's energy in and not have it affect hers at all. And that's
Wow.
really, as a healer, that's what you're doing. You're making space. You're making that extra space and making your zone of comfort or whatever bigger so that you
Yes.
can absorb that energy and not have it affect you.
Yeah. But to your point about the woman getting the massage, like that's why self-care is so
No,
important.
it was me
Oh,
getting the massage. It
oh,
was the
you were,
lady that
it was the
I
lady.
was
Oh, I
getting
thought
the
you said this.
massage.
Sorry, I misunderstood. My apologies.
No, I was getting the massage, and the lady next to me was like talking, and we were at like a vendor's market kind of thing, and I was just
Okay.
laying on the little massage table. But the lady next to me was so anxious, and like
Mm.
I was
You
taking,
felt it. You felt it.
I was feeling it. I was like, I need my little pendulum. I need to be able to fight this. Like I was like, I'm like trying to like relax, and it was a lot. It was overwhelming for just a minute, and then so that's why I started that conversation to
Yeah.
try to get that other lady, and she did. She heard what was going on, and she kind of I saw her take a couple deep breaths, and I was like, okay, good.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a great point you bring up too, because I was actually just having the other day I was having recording a podcast episode for my podcast, and like I was just having like a crazy day. Like I just felt like I was just like rushed, and I just took like before that week I recorded this episode with this woman. I just sat there for like literally 10 seconds and just like took a couple of like deep breaths, and that like totally reset me. And if you try to find those like I've got like micro moments through the day to just do something, and it doesn't have to be deep breathing. It could be whatever works for you. It could be going for a walk. It could be taking not being on a screen. It could be, just, drinking some water, like, water, like it could be anything that just resets you. I think that helps. It was like so simple, but it helped me like so tremendously, like, and impacted the rest of like the rest of the day. It was good. Like, so those little resets, I think, are so important to do when you like immediately, you know?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Like,
No, and
don't like let it slide.
right, and you're literally bringing me back to so many of my different episodes because I had a whole episode on was like how to reset in 30 seconds. This girl
Yeah,
comes on.
it
That's what
doesn't
she's
take
saying.
long.
No, the 30 seconds throughout the day where you just take a deep breath or you
Hmm.
just close your eyes and just literally look back and forth. Like just have your eyes travel back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I mean, that's so just calming to your nervous system. Humming a song. I mean,
Hmm.
I love this because I'm sure the listeners like, oh, what can I do in 30 seconds to reset? But breathing, you mentioned breathing,
Breathing.
just looking back and forth, yawning, making yourself yawn or humming because that all stimulates that vagus nerve.
Yes.
Anything that you can do that is like vibrational in your body, a little
Like
shake of your
shake
shoulder.
it off. Yep.
Anything vibrational is good for your body. And then if you can't, sometimes it's, you're not going to sit there in an office and be like, "Whoa,"
Well, you,
you
yeah.
know, I would personally,
Oh
but
no, I have no shame. I
that's
would
just
definitely do
me.
that.
There's no shame in that for me. But if you're in a situation where it doesn't seem appropriate, it's like
Bathroom.
wiggle your toes and be conscious of your toes on the floor or in your shoes.
Hmm.
Just really that's another such a reset is just being conscious of anything, any sense. So
Yeah.
like they do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, five
Yes.
things
Yep.
that you
Yep.
see, for
The
but it's
grounding
like,
techniques. Yep.
yeah, the grounding techniques, but those are important. Like if you're sitting in church and you're getting anxious or something, it's like feel your feet, feel your calf muscles. That's another one I really like, especially if you
Mm.
walk a lot and move a lot, and then all of a sudden you're made to sit still, is doing that starting at the bottom of your feet and clenching every muscle and then
Mm.
relaxing it, and then going in calves and relaxing it, and then your thighs and relax it. By the time you get up to your shoulders and you're tightening your shoulders and relaxing, you really almost asleep. So
Wow. That's awesome. I love that.
y- yeah, that's a good one. So, wow, okay, look at all those little tips.
I know,
That's
I know.
like,
My biggest one, I will say, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, go for it. I
my
want to hear
biggest
more.
one, honestly, and we were just talking, I'm a warm weather person, but even when it's winter, go outside. Like if you
Hmm.
have 2 seconds, like even for like 5 minutes and just breathe, like go out, like be not in a room, like just go into like it doesn't even have to be like nature. It could just be like outside in the world, like in
And
your environment. I think just
mm,
going outside is super important. Like, even if it's just for a couple minutes or
yep,
as you said,
I'm
even a minute, 30 seconds.
30 anything. I'm really big on that. am really bad about drinking water, and I know I
Mm.
have to, but I'm really bad about it. So if I'm sitting and I know it's going to be a long day doing
You have,
podcasts on the
yep.
computer, I'll set my alarm and I will go and I will grab a glass of water and I will just go outside and stand with my water. Sometimes I don't even drink it, which is really not good, but stare at the just put my face in the sun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Literally
exactly.
for
Yeah.
just a minute.
Vitamin D. Yep.
Hmm. And they say for people that have like sleeping problems and everything, that is the most critical thing to do is within 1 hour of waking is to get outside.
Really? Okay. I did
Yes,
not know
because
that.
it's resets your circadian rhythm.
Oh, very interesting.
Yep, your
Huh.
body has a very natural rhythm that it does things, and if it can see sunlight within an hour of waking, it resets that whole process. So,
Interesting.
and you know who told me that? It wasn't a healer, it wasn't, well, it was a doctor. But when I had my stroke, it was the neurologist.
Really? Very,
And
very interesting.
she told me, you want to heal faster, get outside every morning as soon as you wake up. The first thing you do within an
Try to
hour
get
of waking,
sun.
get the vitamin D and get the sunlight in your face then. And I
Mm.
thought that was interesting, but
That
yeah.
is very interesting because I actually am meeting with she's a therapist and a sleep coach, and I wonder, she works with people to help them, obviously monitor their sleep, get better sleep, because sleep, I will say, sleep is one of the most important things for your mental health. Like getting good sleep, that's when your brain just, like gets rid of all the nonsense of the day. It's your time, and like I've been in points in my life where like I've struggled with sleep pretty much my whole adult life, which probably why I should probably hire this sleep coach. But I can tell my mental state, my body, when I don't get enough sleep. Like it impacts me very, very, very deeply.
Well, it's funny when I had my stroke, that's when they found out I was in the ICU and I was right outside of the nurses station and that's when they realized how bad my sleep apnea was and I never knew it. And
Mm.
so I went through the sleep study and everything and they said I stopped breathing 32 times an hour for on average 26 seconds a time, which meant that 25% of my life I was gasping for breath, like
That's
while I was
crazy.
sleeping. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was absolutely crazy. So the best I had felt, people laugh at me so hard when I say this, but I had a blown stroke on a Monday. The best I felt in about 20 years was Wednesday morning when I woke up because they
Because
gave me a
you
CPAP.
actually, yeah, you were actually
They
able
gave me,
to.
yep, they gave me that CPAP machine in the hospital. And you would have thought 2 days after a stroke, I would have been like,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, like
no, I was like,
groggy. And
yeah, my husband was like, are you going to talk this much the rest of your life?
that's so funny. Well, that's
But it,
amazing. I mean, like, I hate that you had to experience such a, scary health issue, but that's why, that's crazy that, yeah, oh my God, that you
yeah,
went
it was a blessing. I mean, even the cardiologist was like, just that sleep pattern alone will give you a stroke. Your brain is literally starved,
starving for oxygen. Yeah.
starving for oxygen, and it's not resetting. Like you said, that's where all of your thoughts, all of your
Mm-hmm.
experiences, all of your everything for the day gets reorganized while you're sleeping.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like you get like, not like, I wouldn't say wiped clean, but that's, yeah, that's when you get all the stuff out. And that's why I think too, like, when I think about like parenting and new parents that don't sleep and their sleep cycles are all off, I'm like, but that's the most important time. You know what I mean? Because you're,
Mhm.
like, it's like I feel, my heart goes out to them. I have a lot of empathy because I don't have children, but I know people and friends of mine, and it's like I tell them, I'm like, try as much as you can to sleep because you need it. Like, and
Mhm.
also too, something that I think my therapist told me, or I just know from research, like you have sleep debt. And it's like, just so, like, let's say for like it doesn't like sleeping about, like, like they were pretty much always, I feel like as human beings, we're always like in a sleep deficit. Like it's not, it's not like one to one. It's like, you know what I mean? Like it's our sleep is, we're pretty much always in a sleep deficit, which is very unfortunate. Because if you don't sleep well for like 2 nights and then you sleep well for a night, like you're still in a deficit. Even though you
Right.
might feel okay that fourth day, you're still in a sleep deficit. So like in order
Right.
to really catch up on your sleep, like I'm sure all of us would have to sleep for like months. You know?
I'm a sleeper. I have to tell
Oh,
you, I'm
I
a
love
sleeper.
me some sleep. I love
I love
sleep.
me some sleep. Oh my gosh. Well, Danielle, this has been so much fun. I have so many more questions I want to ask you. I'm going to have to bring you back for another episode
Yeah.
because I mean,
I
we have
I
so
could
many
talk to
different,
you. Yeah. You were on
Yeah,
my podcast. I could talk. I feel like we could do this again. We'll do this again for sure
we
for
will
on both of our
definitely do this.
podcasts.
We will definitely do this again. So if people want to work with you,
Yeah,
tell us about how that looks. What does that
absolutely.
look like?
You where they go to find me, or just like my
Where they
program?
go to find you and
Yeah.
what you do. Do you have
Oh yeah,
coaching
absolutely.
programs? Oh,
Yeah, absolutely. So the best way if you want to work with me is go to my website, daniellezmft.com. I have actually self-paced programs if you want, if you feel like, maybe you just want to learn a little bit about yourself and they can do kind of online courses. Or I have personalized custom, which is I like to call your path. It's different paths and there's some options there on my website. I'm also on all the socials, so Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, you can find me anywhere. My handle's Danielle Z MFT.
okay, perfect.
Great.
Okay, and first of all, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
And
you. I appreciate it.
you're welcome. Now I'm going to put you on the spot here because I want
Okay. Oh gosh. Oh boy.
one one big picture, words of wisdom, something that the audience can carry with them throughout the day to make their day a little better. If you could tell them one thing, what would it
One
be?
thing. Oh, so it's so funny. I said this I was on somebody else's podcast the other day, and I'm gonna use the same thing because I think it's so powerful. So be very cognizant of I am statements and I feel statements. So when you say, oh my gosh, I'm anxious right now versus I feel anxious. When you're having a feeling, I'm going to try to empower everybody to use I feel statements because that statement is number one, recognize the feeling, you're then processing it, and also I feel is not tied to your identity. I
Mm,
am statements are tied to your identity. So if you are saying, I am, even me saying this now, I'm actually kind of cringing, like, I am anxious, I am fearful, I am doubtful, you're tying that to you, who you are. And that's not who you are. That's
right.
what you're
Not if you're
feeling.
saying negative things,
Yeah,
right?
that's what you're feeling, but that's not who you are. If you want to say like I am confident, of course, go for it. If I am whole, I am, abundant. Go, I mean, yes, say though all the positive I statements, but especially when it comes to feelings and negative feelings or just feelings of self-doubt or just stress because we all live in a crazy world, try to use I feel statements because in my world you feel the impact of it. Because you're not your current state. Feelings are fleeting. They shouldn't be
Right.
tied to your identity.
Right. Absolutely. Good advice. I love that. I just put a post up the other day and it was like how powerful your words are and what you say to
Oh,
yourself makes all the difference in your life. All the difference.
well, they
And
say, oh, sorry, let me
no,
talk.
go ahead. Go ahead.
They say they call it spelling for a reason because you're casting spells. It's
Yeah.
spelling.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much again for coming on. I appreciate
Thank
you.
you. I appreciate you too, Tammy. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, and for everybody else out there listening, I know we were all over the place, but that's just how it goes when you have so many fun things to talk about. I'm going to have Danielle back on here. We're going to have to talk about more. I love getting into the energy conversations with her. I know we are true believers in the fact that we are all energy, and I would love for everybody, check out the show notes, grab Danielle's, go check her out, and also if you are interested in a free energy scan to see where you sit energetically, I am more than welcome to give you one. So check that out in the show notes too. And you all have a blessed day. And we will see you back next week.